If you don't understand me, that's because we don't vibrate on the same frequency.
Bottom line is you got more men than women. You have more women than men. Something has to be done about that. I don't think everyone needs to be polygamous. No woman wants to share her husband. But if you look at our situation, to not have a conversation, a serious and responsible conversation about polygamy without enough men to go around, you're going to constantly see the withering away of black sisterhood. When I look around at black women, one of the biggest issues I see eroding the sisterhood. Not that it's always been great, but it was better than what it is now. And that's the competition for the limited pool of black men that's out there. And again, going back to being a therapist, I've seen everything from sisters to cousins, mother, daughter. I mean, women fighting, catfighting, relationships ending over a small pool of men because they're competing for the same man's attention. Something has to be done about that because it's creating romantic anarchy in the black community. Because we already have polygamy. Very few men are monogamous. Black, white, rich, purple, rich or poor. We already have it in the black community. Many men have children with different women. There's many plural relationships that exist in the black community. I also don't think you have to marry the state to get married. I know a lot of people in polygamous relationships, happy ones, but I would say that I don't think we're ready for it right now. I think you have to prepare for that. I think a lot of paradigm shifting has to take place on both the parts of black men and black women for polygamy to be successful. I was raised Muslim. My father was not polygamous, but there's a lot of polygamy in Islam, and I've seen women get taken advantage of by it. So I am very, very aware of why a lot of black women look at polygamy with skepticism. And that's because most of them are only familiar with polygamy from the Islamic, the Hebrew, the Moorish, the Christian, the patriarchal type of polygamies that we see in major Western religions. They really haven't seen it from an African-centered, a feminine perspective. In many African cultures that are maternalistic, polygyny was actually instituted by the females. It was not instituted by the men. It was the women who said that they wanted their sisters to have the same type of opportunities that they had. So it's very maternalistic in African society. But again, men have to be more responsible. Men do have to be able to provide. They have to be more above board with it. It cannot be a secret polygamy. If you have two wives, the whole community should know who they are. I think there needs to be elder oversight so men don't take advantage of it. But polygamy would not work now for the greatest reason being that black women have issues with black women. It's not the man, it's the sisterhood. Polygyny only works when the sisters want it to work. And with the competition amongst black women, I think we're a far cry away from polygamy now. The brothers got to make changes, but until sisterhood is what it needs to be, it will not work. The women involved have to love each other more than they love that man in order for that. It's for everybody, but I do think the black community can no longer ignore it because it exists. I mean, most men, most women even, are in plural relationships. And so it's interesting how it's so taboo to discuss it or consider it, but it's okay for it to operate under the table in silence around the corner.
So, first and foremost, I want to apologize about my smoke detector. A lot of you all are aware that it's going off throughout, there it is right there, throughout the videos, and it's distracting you, disturbing you, disrupting you from receiving a message. So that's my apologies. I'll be going to the dollar store tonight, picking up a few new batteries, and I'll be resolving that dilemma. But for the time being, I want to come in and briefly speak about monogamy, the different forms of polygamy, open relationships, the benefits of all this, and even an area way beyond all that. Now I want to begin by saying that whether we know it or not, 9 out of 10 of us are already polygamous. People are going from person to person to person, in and out of relationships. You can look at your own life over the span of 10 years. How many relationships have you been in and out of, from person to person? Then on top of that, people were cheating left and right. So people are already in polygamous relationships. They just don't want to admit it because society has made the world monogamous. Now, this society became monogamous because as time crept along, became more modern, I like to call it backwards, society decided to make men monogamous like women because they didn't want women being polygamous like men. Because we know that men are more possessive and yada 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 yada. So you start thinking to yourself that even back in the day, men had more than one woman. But in addition to that, here's one thing I found very interesting. That even the king had more than one woman. Some of y'all I think, okay, he the king, of course. You know, he the top dog, you know. Women won't be attracted to him. I don't mean that. What I'm saying is that the king tapped into an energy that was just brilliant. He understood that no one person can please another person completely. So if I got one wife, she gonna be deficient in areas that I'm gonna need her for in my life. So the king was like, damn, wow, I can get another woman that can support me emotionally. I can get this other woman who can make sure she lift my esteem up. I got this other woman who's like my advisor. She can tell me whatever she need to tell me so that I can run this nation better. These other two concubines don't fuck a nigga good. And then I got my wife, the most powerful woman in the whole entire nation. So you gotta trip off that. This is the king. He got the most powerful woman in the entire nation, but he still got a concubine. Cause he already understood that he had to get out there. I'm gonna put it this way. You can't grow unless you out there and you socializing. Unless you out there and you interacting with other people. As you interacting with other people, you learn more about other people and human nature. And not only that, you learn about your own self and your own nature and the way you react to situations, so on and so forth. So as I said, the king tapped into an energy. He was like, wait a minute. Women, the right women, supportive women, will lift him up. That's how you become a king right there. You got the right women around you. Like, no bullshit. This is one of the top reasons you will become a king. Men, whether we like to admit it or not, we live for women, and many women live for men. These are facts right here. So the next thing I want to speak on is, let's take somebody like Tommy Sotomayor, right? Let me just go back to his last point so I can close it off. Tommy Sotomayor was so traumatized that his mother didn't appreciate him the way he wanted her to, that she didn't lift him up the way he wanted her to. He was so traumatized that these black women that innately he knew should be supporting him, he was so traumatized it didn't happen that he began to hate women. Like, you got to think about it. People talk about Tommy Sotomayor, they mad at him, but you got to think about how extreme he is and how extreme on the other end he could be if he would have got that support from black women. This is how important it is. So when it comes to men, for all those women out there that's thinking, nah, I don't want to be in a polygamous relationship, open relationship, none of that bullshit. You want to be monogamous. If women really want to be monogamous, you have to be supportive of your man. I'm going to say it again. Nothing make a man feel better than a woman. That's what Method Man said. That's what Mary J. Blige nodded her head to, right? So if women really want to be monogamous, they have to be supportive of their men. Because this is one of the main reasons men are straying away from the nest. It's not because they want sex with another woman. Because no matter how you look at it, when a man having sex, it's all about what he's thinking about when he having sex. You know, you could be a man, you could be fucking 3 different women. They pretty much got the same body, got nice asses, nice titties and all that. So really, you know, you just having sex with the same woman in different bodies. It's what the man is thinking when he's having sex, and it's what the woman is going to speak to him about, and if she's going to encourage him before, after, and during sex. Baby, you can do that, you can do this. That's how a woman take your man right there. It's not through no pussy. No. Men can get that from anywhere. It's a fact. Men will drop down to a prostitute that can be fucking millions of men. But if she got the right understanding that a man want to feel like a man and he want to be encouraged, oh, she got him. This is what Malcolm X said in his autobiography. He said that a lot of women don't understand that men want to feel like men. He discovered this during his pandering days. So with all that being said, we're going to move forward a little bit. We're going to talk about polygamy. And I just want to expose the fact that most polygamous relationships are not entirely polygamy. It's not entirely polygamous. Dig it, right? I got 3 wives. I'm polygamous. Unless those 3 wives are bisexual, they're just going to be monogamous. So I mention that because even though people are in polygamous relationships, their husband is still cuffing all his wives. He's still, even if the relationship between one of his wives ain't going right, he's still holding on to her. He don't want to let her go. She don't want to let him go. And the point is, it comes to a point in time in a relationship where you need to leave, you need to go, you need to interact with somebody else, because one person cannot give you everything you need. Imagine if we had monogamous friendships. You can only have one friend. Now I told y'all at the beginning of this video, life is about socializing, interacting. That's how you gonna grow. That's how you gonna learn. So it comes a time in a relationship where, you know, okay, you go ahead, you find you another man, cool. This should be the easiest thing for a polygamous man to do. He already got 2, 3 other ones. What's the problem? So I mentioned that to mention this. I was talking to a sister and her sister, and they was telling me about this concept that they have of, even though they're in so-called polygamous relationships, they still can talk to and see other men, whether it's sexually, whether it's mentally, educationally, spiritually, consciously. One of them told me this, that people fucking other people's soulmates. Now I'm not going to say that people don't have soulmates and that monogamy shouldn't be, you know, that it shouldn't exist. I'm not going to say that. But what I am going to say is that men and women have to understand one another. Men got to understand that they have to develop a bond of an emotional connection along with trust if you want to keep women. And when it comes to men, women definitely got to understand that men are very mental. You got to get to that mental space. Cause like I said, a man can be having sex with a woman. He could be having sex with his wife, and he could be thinking about another woman. And then on top of that, he thinking about another woman with another body. You see what I'm saying? Like, so these are things that need to be brought out into the open. But all these thoughts was on my mind. The main thought was the fact that the king had more than one woman, even though he had the most powerful woman in the entire nation. And I just stopped and thought to myself, like, why would he do that? Like, is he a John? Is he a trick? He got a sex addiction? Or, you know, is it ego? The real kings did it because they understood the energy and the power that they would get from being with more than one woman.